Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Harry from Spurs TV, back on the match reaction. It's been a while since one of these because obviously been out the FA Cup, international break, whatever. But yeah, De Zerbi's first game in charge. Sunderland won, Tottenham nil. Different manager, same players. That's about it, really, guys. But let's talk about it for a little bit because I kind of don't want to talk about it because yeah, we're in the bottom three, 2 points behind West Ham. It doesn't look like the tide is turning anytime soon. Yes, let's take on the starting lineup. Kinski is in goal because Vicario's got his hernia. I don't know when he's back, but anyways, Kinski in goal. Back four of Van der Ven Romero, which was extremely predictable, and Porro and Adogi. So I guess the back 4/5 was kind of picks itself. Even though for me, I would have played Danso over Romero because I just don't really trust Romero. Then the midfield was quite interesting. I didn't understand his midfield. If I'm being honest, I didn't understand your midfield. Gray, Bergval, and Gallagher. Yeah, I didn't really know what he was trying to do there. I mean, Bergval played in the 10, but he didn't really do anything. On a personal level, I've never seen Bergval as a number 10. I kind of see more of an 8, but he didn't really create anything. And then obviously Xavi's been excluded again, which didn't really make a lot of people very happy. But even Xavi's not pulled up many trees, so I guess. But for me, the biggest exclusion I didn't like was Paulina, because I probably would play someone like Paulina, Gray, and Xavi, something like that would have been my three. Would that made that much of a difference in the context of this game? Probably not, because like I said, Xavi, who came on about 10 minutes ago, hasn't really pulled up any trees in the Premier League for us this season. He's had some decent European performances, but and then again, those have only been like, I'm probably counting them on one hand. And then the attack, this is to me the most baffling in terms of like the attackers he picked. He had Muani on the right, who again did nothing. Solanke in the middle, maybe he's not fit because he got a knock, if you guys don't remember, in the last game. And I don't know, I don't fully blame Solanke for him not scoring goals, but at the same time, he had a chance in the first half where he should have probably scored. And then on the left was Richarlison, which sort of surprised me because I thought he might go with Tell. And again, the upside of Tell and Richarlison or Tell Marnie is not that much anyway. But at least Tell tries. And sure, we're looking at ourselves thinking, why did we loan out Mikey Moore? Because we didn't buy a replacement for Son, and the replacement of Son probably would have played on the left. We didn't bring Lookman in the January. Duran we could have got in January as well. And look at our attack, they just can't score goals. Yeah, it was like a 4-2-3-1/4-3-3. Let's just talk about the game quickly. I mean, the first 10-15 minutes was kind of like, we're kind of in it. But Sunderland had chance after chance. I mean, we were very lucky not to be 1-0 down within the first 20 minutes. Robbie had two chances, the free header. I can't believe he missed that one. And it felt like the goal was coming, but we kind of weathered the storm for at least half an hour. And then we tried to get something in the game. But like I said, the midfield for me was a big issue because I would have definitely played Paulinho. I guess I'd slightly choose Xavi over Bergval because for me, Bergval's just not that guy. At least in my opinion, at least right now. Like, he's just not offering enough. And then the front line, I didn't really understand the whole. We were essentially kind of had playing three strikers with two of them playing wide. Last Richarlison had a lot of work rate. He wasn't really doing anything off the left. Like, I would have probably started Tell, but I don't know how fit Tell was because someone told me he pulled out the France under-21 squads, so maybe he wasn't fit enough to start. But at least he might have offed just a little bit more. But a lot of people, like I said, were kind of bemused by the exclusion of Xavi. And then you did have Son on the bench, but I don't see how much difference he would have made. And Basuma, who didn't come on, was on the bench. But Mwani on the right was just totally useless. But it's like, well, what players do you put out? Because our wingers don't really create anything, despite me championing Tell for like the past 2 seconds, and it's just now he don't really have any end product. Like I praise him for his work rate, and he gets into the right areas, but he just doesn't do it. He doesn't score enough goals. He doesn't cross the ball enough. And then Solanke, I watch him every game. And I just don't think he's fit. If anything, I would have played something like Tell, Richarlison, and someone else on the right. I don't know, a kid on the right, like any youngster we have in our youth setup, because at this point you might as well just do something. And then Spence was on the bench, so maybe you could have put Spence and then pushed Porro further up, which is what Tudor did actually for a bit. But whatever combination of players we play doesn't seem to make a difference. I haven't really spoken much about the game because the starting lineup didn't really please me, as I've just alluded to the past few minutes. But like, we could have been 2 or 3-0 down in the first half, and we had this chance with Solanke, who some who may argue was a hard angle, but I still think he should be doing better and hitting it into the far corner instead of the near post, which is where he hit it and Roos managed to save it. And then Richarlison had a run where he kicked out. The second half started and Sunderland just came out. They got their goal for a massive deflection from Van der Ven. But like I said before on here, when things aren't going your way, they do not go your way. And the deflection did not go our way. And when Sunderland went to 1-0, we didn't look like getting back into the game. I mean, De Zerbi tried to encourage the players on the touchline. You could see him throwing his arms up in the air and stuff like that. And then he did make a triple change. Gray came off, who I think did nothing. Somehow Gallagher stayed on, even though I don't think he did anything either. Bergvall came off, and then Richarlison came off for Tell, so he left Marnie on the whole game, pretty much. And we weren't. So it was like he turned into a midfield of Paulina, Gallagher, and Gray. And I think Gallagher was playing for the furthest up, something like that, and then Tell on the left. And then in the end, he took off midfielder and brought on Xavi with like 10 minutes left. But by that point, like, we just had nothing. Like, there's nothing there. It's not just the fact that the quality of the players isn't very good and not that good. Like, but then some people argue we shouldn't be in the position we're up to given the quality of the players. But when I look at the structure of the squad, it's just completely wrong because there's so many young players, like I mentioned with Gray, Bergvall, Tell, whatever, being the players who have the responsibility for us to get out of this situation, really. But then you have strikers who just never been prolific in Richarlison and Solanke, who, I mean, Solanke's best season was 19 Premier League goals, and that's one season. Richarlison's best was 13. I think he's on course to make that anyway. So you look at that and you think, well, it sort of does make sense statistically speaking. And then the midfield, like I said, is just broken. The back line, whilst on paper it looks good, to have Udogie, Porro, Van der Ven and Romero. And I mean, Kinski's questionable anyway. But like, you look at the midfield, the back four, and while Porro attacking wise, brilliant. Udogie attacking wise, he's all right till he gets into the box. But they're not really fullbacks. And then you look at the defenders, Van der Ven and Romero, they don't want to be here. And Romero gets a red card like all the time. I mean, he got a yellow today. He had to come off because of injury, but one more yellow card and he misses, I think, 1 or 2 games because it's the 10 yellow cards. So you look at all those factors and you think, well, this is why we're here, because I mean, we're manager number 3 and I've still not seen any change. So for me, the players, is just down to you. And it looks like the players don't want it, or they're just not good enough, or both, or they just lack mentality. They've got a weak mentality, which is what I've been saying for a long time. I just don't think these players, especially in this scenario, have the guts to get us out of it. And here we are. So same players, different manager, same result. So the common denominator now. And come on, you Spurs, we need a miracle to try and get out of this.